Hello, what's up guys? This is Jouni Juurela from Floorball Made Simple, and today we are analyzing the F-League finals that went on a couple of weeks ago. It has been a small delay from our part on creating this content, but I've been preoccupied on my transfer to Slovakia to FBC Trenčín for the next 2 seasons. But we are going to analyze what went down in the F-League finals between Classic and Oilers, which Esport Oilers won in the game 7. And that was the first victory for Esport Oilers in 18 years, so congratulations to them. But before we continue with this video, I need to promote to you one of my personal sponsors and collaboration partners, which is the XPS network from Sideline Sports. This is the app that I use on creating animations for my team and planning practices, and this is, in my opinion, the best product and service on the market when it comes to coaching platforms and apps that coaches can use to develop their teams. You can plan the team's training and the whole season throughout this platform. You can monitor and evaluate your players and teams' performances and improvement. You can communicate through this platform with your players, and you can use all of these features even on creating tactics, playbooks, and analyzing videos of the game. So I highly recommend on taking XPS Network as the platform you use. Just type into Google XPS Network 2.0 and you will find how to get this tool for you as well. But at first, let's share some eye candy from the individual skills from those F-League finals.
Pallon ylähyllylle, Oilers tasoittaa 1-1. Hiljaa sieltä on tulossa Ilven johtama kolmonen, Tuomas Iiskola. Iiskola laukoo ja pallolla Iiskola. Syöttö suoraan Salmisen lapaan, Oskari Heikkilä rytmittää, ottaa Laitilan mukaan ja Laitila laittaa! Keväällä joutunut pelejä väliin. Markkola Rasmus Kainulaiselle ja Rasmus Kainulainen. Markkola pystyyn Heikkilälle. Heikkilä murtautuu keskusta. Lastikka jättää Tykkyläiselle, Rasmus Kainulainen kuitenkin haistelee nämä aikeet ja lähtee haastamaan. Klassi katkaisee ja Markkola ottaa pallon uudestaan, sitten Rasmus Kainulainen ja peli on 5-3. Lastikko uudestaan Salolle. Vartes seuraa Saloa, joka lähtee vauhtiin. Tykkyläinen tekee tuon ja Laitilan kautta pelataan. Laitila haastaa Järvistä. Edelleenkin alkoi Laitila ja pyörähtelee, etsii tilaa. Tykkyläisen kautta pallo liikkuu Lastikalle. Lastikka Laitilalle, Laitila maalin eteen.
But in the beginning, we will go through what happened in these finals and this final series between the two clubs, and a little bit of the background before the finals. First of all, Esport Oilers did have a 7-match final series against West End Indians in the semifinals. Classic was able to win in 6 games their own semifinals, so they had more time to recover before the final series. As a result, Esport Oilers had to play their last semifinal on Friday, and the first final against Classic that had more time to recover was on Sunday. So Classic was facing a tired and consumed team, and Classic was able to win the 2 games in the series. Then Oilers evened up the tally to 2-2. Then the Oilers won the 5th game. Then Classic tied up the series to 3-3, and Oilers won the 7th match with Justus Kainulaisen's amazing shot in the last 2 minutes of the regular time. And there was a huge physical advantage for Classic to the final series, and especially to the beginning of the series. That was reflecting a lot and had a huge impact on how the game was played between the teams in the first moments of the series. And as you can imagine, when you are facing a team that has not recovered fully, Classic took an advantage to that with huge margins. And they had many tools how to beat a tired opponent. Classic was able to push the pre-exhausted Oilers players to their limits with their tactical choices. Classic was very aggressive on their counter-pressing after direct attacks with either 3 or 4 players. So they were pressing with numbers. Ball movement speed with passing in deep and horizontal direction was in the top level for Classic in the beginning of the series. They were not able to maintain that same pace on moving the ball and their players in the later parts of this series, but in the beginning of the series it was remarkably high. The density of formation cutting actions was remarkably higher for Classic in the beginning of the series than it was in the later parts of this series, and Classic had much rotations in their offensive play, but the difference was that they were able to perform cutting actions, driving to the net, shooting, having attackers without the ball positioned in very dangerous spots in the field and pass through the formation. But they were doing this progressive formation cutting actions way more constantly and rapidly than on the other hand, later Oilers of the series was tired and their counter-pressing had huge delays and their all players were not able to get and join into the press, so Classic had an easy time on scoring from fast breaks. And the organized offensive play of Esport Oilers was impatient and slow, and attacks were really short, and that made Classic's work on the defensive side easier.
In the depths of night, skyscrapers stand tall, reaching for the sky. As we pass by, with dreams flying high. No maps, no plans, just an open road. Wherever it leads, we'll happily go. Beside each sound, memory, this adventure, dreams run deep. On this road, every scene's a delight. Sunrise to starlight, day and night. Nature's canvas unfolding so grand. This journey living
Poikittaisi syöttö Akolan laukaansa, nyt näyttää Laakso, että täälläkin ollaan hereillä. Veikkola menettää mailansa. Siinä kuitenkin Oilersilla menee niin hyvin pakka kasassa, että Klassikki ei tuota pientä hetkeä pysty käyttämään. Salminen heittää.
I think that everybody knows what's going to happen in this clip in the end, but before that cutting action is performed, look where all the other guys are positioned. There is one player right in front of the net, there is one player in the higher part in the center, and then there is a shooting threat and a threat of a player moving without the ball. So this was a beautiful attack.
Oskari Heikkilä takatolpalle ja sinne on menossa Salin. Akola pääsee ensimmäisenä irtopallolle ja nyt on Hemerka aivan vapaana, mutta Salinin jatko ei onnistu. Heikkilä, Salminen kaukaa, Laakso torjuu jälleen. Laukauksia
Here we are going to see Classic's great offensive zone offensive play. In the beginning of the series, they had lots of rotation, but after those rotations, they were able to capitalize on the players that had become free. They had open plays for shooting and they were moving without the ball. They were able to individually choose situations where you make a formation cutting decision.
Classic saanut kyllä myös näitä pidempiä pallollisia jaksoja aikaiseksi. Akola. Hemerkan kautta Salminen pystyy, Heikkilä lähtee kierrokselle, Hemerka odottelee syöttöä, Heikkilä vaihtaa suuntaa, sitten Hemerka Akolalle, Akola uudestaan Hemerkalle, Heikkilä ja pitkä mylly on käynnissä tällä hetkellä Oilers päädyssä. Akola ei saa ykkösellä pallo. Lastikka Helinille, sitten on Laitilan paikka, Laakso torjuu, Salo hakee irtopallon ja tarjoilee seuraavaa. Lastikka tulee taustalta, kääntää vielä Salolle, hieman pomppaa Salolta. Pallo syvään Lastikalle, Järvinen kimppuun, isku on myös välissä, Klassik jatkaa, 12
Classic has always been an awesome team on the counter-attacking part of the game as well, and they were able to utilize those fast breaks and counter-attack moments better because Oilers' high pressing was not top-notch in the beginning of the series.
Koskinen, Jokela iskee Lindforsin kanssa kimppuun. Koskinen saa pelattua vielä Hietarannalle. Nyt katkaisee Jesperi Lindfors ja Lindfors siirtää pallon Jokelalle. Koskinen, Hietaranta on odottelemassa. Koskinen ottaa kilven mukaan ja sitten Ville Hietaranta.
This was one of the biggest factors why Oilers actually won the series, because in the beginning of the series, Classic was able to pick up the right moments when to press high. Their players were on the forecheck side, lower on the pitch at the beginning of the situation, but they chose the right moments to pick up the pace and go higher up the pitch. And in the later parts of this video you will see what was the difference to the last games of the series on the pressing side, but let's now look at the good situations.
Alaspäin, Hemerka seuraa, Järvinen on pallolla. Nyt ei oikein syöttötilaa tahdo löytyä, Hemerka pääsee väliin ja sitten tulee Jokela välistä esiin, ei pääse. Jokela, 6 tehopiste näissä pudotuspeleissä. Roolia on tullut ja Jokela on ollut kyllä hyvä läpi pudotuspelien. Riippumatta siitä, kenen kanssa ja millä pelipaikalla pelaa. Saliin taiteilee, syöttö kuitenkin.
Classic also had in the beginning of the series way more tools on how to get away from high press of Oilers. Of course, their press was a little slower and had delays because they were so tired, so it was an easier job, but still they had more combinations on how to come out of that high press.
Huippupaikka Astalalle, mutta ei mene kohti tällä kertaa ja Astala edelleenkin paineistaa Lamminen keskustaan. Lindfors pääsee väliin, mutta pallo suoraan lamaan. Salin ratkaisee. Salminen pystyyn ja suora laukaus aivan maalinen takaa yläkulmaan.
And we're going to freeze the picture here because Classic was able to get more constantly into these situations where their shooters had lots of room where to shoot from. Then the Oilers, they dropped their forecheck level a little lower, so they did not anymore get into these huge shooting positions like in this clip.
Walking down the streets, feeling the breeze. In the sunshine state where dreams come with ease. Palm trees sway.
Oilers had very impatient offensive zone offense and they had less good scoring chances in the beginning of the series.
Like I can't be ignored. Sun kissed skin, feeling so alive in the soft rap game. Strive to thrive. Waves crashing on the sand. Let's ride the vibe.
Saako vielä pallon itselleen? Kyllä saa, kiertää maalia ja tarjoilee maalille. Tää ja näkee parhaaksi. Pelata Talvitie kautta palloa Astalalle. Aaro Astala. Talvitie. Lindfors Talvitie. Sitten Jesperi Lindfors poikittain. Heikki Iiskola laukoo ja laukoo ihan hyvin. Sitä ja näkee parhaaksi. Talvitien kautta palloa Astala.
And this was just about as much of passes they were able to play consecutively to each other in the offensive zone offense or in the offensive zone in any way. So this will show you a huge difference when we look at the later parts of the series.
Aaro Astala. Talvitie. Lindfors Talvitie. Sitten Jesperi Lindfors poikittain. Heikki Iiskola laukoo ja laukoo ihan hyvin.
And as we saw in the previous clips, Oilers had huge delays on their press, especially on the counter press. They were able to push 1 or 2 players high, but then the 3rd and 4th player were delayed in the situations. And to the later part of the series, it was still very evenly matched as the last game, 7th game, ended by 1 goal difference in the last minutes of the series. But Oilers was able to recover from their physical consumption in the previous series, and Classic was sort of wasting their own energy with some tactical choices that they made. Oilers' star players were hot and contributing a lot to the goal scoring side. Classics mostly were not. That's a huge difference. If you get the most out of your best individuals in the moments that matter, that count, it is a huge difference. Oilers increased the amount of scoring threat they could produce from organized play, and in the other hand, Classic's one got way smaller. Classic was not able to contribute on scoring from organized moments that much in the later parts. As I said earlier, Oilers lowered down their forechecking, pressuring first line to lower heights on the pitch, and that was a mandatory choice for them because they had more physical consumption and injuries on the team. So Classic's dangerous turnovers and goals from that decreased till the last game of the series. When the teams were pressing each other with high presses, Classic had less tools to get away from that pressure, and Oilers picked up more tools how to get away from that high pressure. And in a way, Oilers did a very hard thing in this series because they were able to improve their game throughout the whole season and series as Classic's game was declining and tools how to contribute on scoring were on a decline. And like we talked about earlier, Classic's game opening and organized offensive play did not contribute on scoring that much. They tended more on circulating the ball in the outer flanks from one pocket to another, and their players were turning back to the direction of their own goal and playing it back to the other side, and thus they were not contributing as much. And in this frozen picture, we will see that Oilers has dropped their forecheck into a 1-2-2 formation with a one striker on the top. And you will see that Classic is circulating the ball in the wide side pockets, but are the worst spaces occupied by Classic? Do you have a direct threat on scoring? I doubt that. Although they were able to still score some goals from organized play, but not as much as before. As we saw in the clips of the beginning part of this series, they had the players without the ball in those goal-scoring areas providing threat without the ball. But look at this situation. This resembles most of the Classic's attacks in the last part of the series. So these games counted the most, but there is no threat without the ball, providing more pressure to the net in the offense. So you don't want to end up into these kind of situations when you're playing on the games that count the most. Classic was still able to utilize those fast breaks from time to time, and especially on the sixth game they were able to score goals from that, and here's one example of those moments. This is, in my opinion, probably the second biggest aspect that made them lose the series. They started to press from moments that it is not wise to press, and they lifted their overall for checking first line of pressure higher up the pitch, so the forwards had to start their pressing from higher spaces on the field, and thus, even though the players they were trying to forecheck and press, they had their eyes and full playing readiness to the field, and that is really hard to forecheck from. I mean, look at this picture. Look how high the first line of pressure is, look how high the center player is in the situation, and look how much space there is all over the place, especially in the wide side pockets and in the offensive zone as well. It is really hard to press constantly and well from this kind of positioning in very top level floorball games, and that is consuming and drains up your energy tank. Is this necessary? I don't think so. And yet again, exactly the same deal. You very rarely see the forechecking line, first line of pressure, almost standing still that high up the pitch in moments when there is no pressure on the player with the ball. So it is really hard to be compact on pressing if the first line of pressure is that high. And here's a comparison clip. You will see what the Oilers players do in a moment that there could be a point to go to press, but they recognize the situation that this is not the best situation where we could press, and look at how Oilers pressers are functioning. In this clip you will see how versatile filling the center of the pitch on the offensive zone offense was with Oilers in the last games. This may not seem like a big deal, but it really is. Oilers was able to, in a very short space of time, to fill the central space in the offensive zone offense from two totally different directions and with two different players. And this was the biggest difference between the two teams, and I think that this is the reason why Oilers won the series. It was very cool to see that Oilers was shooting very frequently and driving to the net very frequently on the offensive zone offense, and this was almost a hockey team like approach. So you shoot a lot and then press a lot from the after moments of the attack, and this was awesome to see. And here in this clip, you can figure out yourself what is happening, but I will give you a tip. Classic uses a defensive system where you have three players that are playing man-to-man. And you will see shortly a trick how you can fool that man-to-man system and figure out yourself what's going on in this clip and why Oilers scored in this situation. And this was an awesome sight to see. I don't know, do they use this term in Oilers, but in hockey people use this broken play concept when they are playing. So the team wants to keep the pace up in the offensive zone offense, shoot a lot and get deflection balls near the net, and then press in these moments to cause a little chaos on the field. And Oilers has always been really good on capitalizing on these chaos moments, but in this series and in this season they found out a good way how to get the proper amount of that chaos and then utilize that on scoring.
Viides kausi kaiken kaikkiaan Sorvaleella liigassa. Justus Kainulainen saa pallon. Markus Markkola laukoo ja taitaa kilahtaa tolppaan. Rasmus Kainulainen, Markkola haastaa. Justus Kainulainen! Toimivasta kasvatustyöstä.
Let's go through this situation. Somebody might be thinking, Oilers is using a 1-2-2 formation on that high press. No, the formation is not the thing here. The first player in the situation determines where the ball is going. They hit the high pressure. Then it is not about who is going to the next guy that is about to receive the ball. It's about the second player. The nearest player that has the easiest route to do so goes to press the ball, and then the third player takes the position that they are instructed to take. But this is a cool way how you can transform a 1-2-2 formation into a high press.
Kasvatustyöstä. Toissa kaudella 19 ottelun 43 maalia, alle 2 ykkösissä. Se on ihan mukin menevä saldo se. Nyt pallo Oilersilla
So let's now wrap these finals up, and what were we able to pick up from these amazing finals from two very skillful and talented teams. You need to score from fast breaks. If you are only utilizing organized, slow attacking pace, you will not score in big games. But you also need to score from organized offense, from the game opening moments, from the offensive zone offense moments, and from the breaking the high presses moments. You need to have a very high tempo available in your own offensive play. First, you are on the second gear. Let's imagine that you have a gearbox of the car in front of you. You are playing on the second gear of the gearbox, but then you shift and switch it up to the fifth gear with a high pace. So you need to alter your tempo when you are attacking, even in an organized manner. You need to have passing patience and moving without the ball, like the Classic did in the first games. You need to have the hunger and shooting pace of Oilers. So let the ball fly, let it fly all the time from every good position. You need to find some clear moments where you are activating your defense and going for a higher press, but you cannot activate it from all out from every single moment unless you're coaching or dealing with small kids, with adults teams. That is not a good choice to do. Your playing system needs to be the sort of one that will get the most results out of your star players. And you need to have the gut to block a lot of shots like Esport Oilers did throughout this series. And you need to score from special teams. Classic was horrible in that regard and Oilers was good, and that is also important in top level games. But hey, now thank you for watching. Share this video to your mates, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and follow us on socials. We need more subscribers and supporters so we can keep up making even better content to you in the future. So please get your friends and colleagues and mates on board with us and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.